Sorry. Do you have service?
No.
Okay, come on, we gotta go.
We can't just
Baby,
leave her.
it's not safe. We gotta go. We'll come back for her.
We are talking about the supernatural haunting movie Before Someone Gets Hurt. Now this one is directed and co-written by Shane Barbanel. Now this is a kind of a mix between found footage and a traditionally shot kind of horror film, which makes it a bizarre hybrid. So the film focuses on this group of amateur ghost hunters as they're on the cusp of making it big, getting a deal with sci-fi to make a series, and they go into various kind of like apparent haunted locations and either prove or disprove that things have been haunted. And they have just got a hot tip on this new house which has a very kind of dark past. There's been multiple mysterious deaths there before, and the team want to go and check it out just on the kind of the eve of them getting this big deal. You know where this is going, don't you? So let's start straight away. This premise has been seen a bunch of times before, so it's nothing going to be anything new here for fans of this kind of genre. And they go to this house, and I will just say this is the neatest and most kind of like professionally kept house I've ever seen in regards to one that's meant to be abandoned. So they go to this house and it looks like a show house. I mean, this is clearly the house of one of the people involved in the production of this movie, and they've got this nice house, and you know, we're meant to believe that it's kind of been abandoned, but the bed's been made, there's not a speck of dust anywhere. This ghost must have OCD. They never kind of address that, but there you go. And obviously we learn that there is some kind of like satanic potential of the backstory here, kind of like these worshippers of the devil and things like that have crucified people at this property. So obviously things will start from going bad to worse, and pretty much that's your film. So what do we think of Before Someone Gets Hurt? Weird title. I don't think it necessarily lends itself to what the film's about, but there you go. And also an odd choice to have it partially found footage and partially traditional camera angle. It's mostly found footage. To me, I mean, it might not bother some people, but to me, I feel it doesn't really work having this kind of split tone, because you can't really buy into it as a found footage film, because you have these third-party shots that obviously are more of a traditional style camera. So it doesn't really work for me in regards to that, but sorry, it might not bother. We got this kind of group of people go into this house, and you know, strange things start to happen, doors slamming, all of that kind of stuff. You won't see really anything on screen here. This is one of these films where it's all kind of stuff which is, you know, oh my god, this weird thing's happening, but you don't really see a lot on camera, so it's obviously a lower budget film because of that. I will say, when we're in this kind of, we're in the house and stuff, even though it's clearly a low budget film, I feel the production value still doesn't feel cheap. It does feel like it's you know, professionals behind the camera, so it does have a fairly polished feel to it. And the cast here, I've got to say, although some of them are blatant stereotypes, especially the kind of the stoner guys, just like, yeah, we need a stoner, let's go through all the kind of stereotypes of what that kind of character will do, etc, etc. And the guy who hacks into NASA, oh Jesus. Anyway, so there's some broad stereotypes here, but the actual character work isn't so bad. I think the acting between the cast here, you know, there's no clunkers certainly. They're a bit hammy in regards to some of the dialogue, but that's more the writing than the actual acting itself. So the acting is perfectly fine here. The story tries to have quite a complex history in regards to what's actually the history of this particular property, and the kind of what's been involved in bringing to this point. And it all seems a little bit of gobbledygook to me, and a little bit kind of overly convoluted in regards to numerical prophecies and things like that. I don't know if it needed to go quite that, you know, to have quite as much exposition in one kind of dump in one scene of the movie, but there you go. Now, although I feel this film is fairly well polished, and it's kind of, you know, you won't feel like you're watching just a cheapo hastily put together piece of rubbish movie, it doesn't really grab you in any particular way there. I feel it really doesn't do much in regards to wow factor on screen. There's not really anything you haven't seen. It is just kind of slamming doors, people with kind of like blacked out eyes is the most spooky thing you'll see on camera here. So it's a little bit disappointing in regards to what you'll actually see on the actual screen. It's not a particularly scary film. It doesn't really have because of this house is so kind of like new and pristine. It doesn't really have a spooky vibe to it. So it just looks like a bunch of people walking around just a generic house, and we're told that it's haunted. So it doesn't have this kind of eerie atmosphere. Even if you don't have lots of effects on screen, you can still have this eerie atmosphere, which this film doesn't. So ultimately, it becomes a little bit of one that's not going to stick in your mind. It's not a badly made film, I don't think. It's just not spectacular in any aspect. It's just very much a kind of a by the numbers haunting film in a very kind of a poorly chosen location. Okay, it might be cliche to have it in a bit more of a rundown house, but man, at least it will kind of help you with the kind of the atmosphere here. We're just not addressing that this house is just like perfectly kind of left in and is completely clean. It's a little bit silly if you ask me. So overall, I'll give it a 4 out of 10. I really don't think it's essential viewing in any aspect, but it's not a badly made film. So I'll give it 4 out of 10. Have you seen it? What did you think of it? Leave a comment and I'll look forward to seeing you next time. Bye for now.